Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary, high school, and recent graduate. Today I'm really excited to be sharing some fun new things that the Daily Grace Co sent me. So let's get into it. So I actually have 2 bundles to share with you, and the first is going to be one of their Advent bundles for 2025. I know it may seem early to start thinking about Advent, but actually on my goals for September, it is to write down all of the things that I purchase leading up to the holidays so that I can kind of get a jump start on it. And some of the things that I do purchase for our holiday season, like Christmas pajamas and Advent resources, you have to purchase those well in advance of the Advent season. You can't expect to purchase them right after Thanksgiving. So there is a little bit more thought that has to go into it. So when they reached out to me and asked if I wanted to preview one of their Advent bundles for this year, I was really excited. They go on sale on Monday, September 22nd. If you're watching this live, that is just in a couple of days. I do have a discount code for 10% off that I will put on the video for you, as well as leave linked in the description box if you want to use that. So this is the Cozy Quiet Time bundle, and it does come with a mug. So let's look at that first. This is a beautiful mug. It says, O come, Emmanuel. And it has like a printed design on it. It's very, very pretty with like a green leaf pattern, but you can feel the design, which I think is really nice. This will be lovely for my cup of coffee, and it's a good size. I know that sometimes decorative coffee cups are a little bit smaller, but I really like a nice large cup of coffee in the morning. So this is the first thing that comes in this bundle, and I will leave everything linked for you as well. The next thing I believe is an ornament. Let's see if I can open this. So this is a beautiful ceramic ornament with a little velveteen red ribbon, I guess. It says Awakening Wonder 2025. So I love this. The next thing I have is some beautiful pens, and these are really lovely, and they definitely give me the fall vibe. They have a rose gold clip on them, and it looks like they are gel pens, and they do have the different weeks of Advent on them, I think. Let me see. This one says hope, peace, love, and joy. Yep. So all of the pens have the Advent theme of the week, which is really nice. Let's see how they write. Those are very nice to write with. Black ink. I really like these a lot. The next thing that we have is God with Us, a daily Advent prayer journal. And so let's open it up. It says, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. We observed his glory, the glory as the one and only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. John 1:14. And then there's an introduction saying what Advent is and how to use the journal, as well as information about candle lightings. It talks about the Advent calendar, and it lists all of the days out, which is nice. And so it says candle lighting hope, and it gives you some scripture and prayer, and then some dot grid space for journaling. Oh, okay, so this is going to have a little bit of scripture and a prayer each day of Advent, plus your journaling section. So that is really lovely. So they have something for every single day of the week. It is a sewn binding, which it's very pretty. Then it goes through the candle of peace. So same thing, each day you have some scripture and a prayer and some space for journaling. There is a ribbon bookmark here to keep your place, and that is really, really lovely. Plus it looks like you have a good bit of notes in the back, which is nice if you want to use it for sermon notes throughout the Advent season. I think that would be really lovely to have. And then finally, you have the Awakening Wonder, Experiencing the Nearness of Jesus, the 2025 Daily Grace Advent Study. And this obviously goes with the journal. And I'm really enjoying the Daily Grace Co studies lately. They have been wonderful to use. I'm using the James study currently that I shared maybe, I don't know, last month. I've been using that as kind of our morning Bible time with my kids as we start our day. I love that all of their studies have a timeline of scripture, which is really helpful. And they all talk about the meta-narrative of scripture. There's an introduction to this study, how to use this study, and then it moves into the calendar for Advent for 2025, your memory verse cards over here. And then you can cut these out. There is a line, so you can cut them out, and they have a design on the back. It says, as we go through the season, may we draw close to you and rest in your peace. There's a little bit about what is Advent, the Advent candle lighting tradition, and then you move into week 1, day 1, the candle of hope, your reading, which is matching up to your prayer journal for the day. There is a little bit more with the prayer here. It has the week 1 memory verse, and then you move into week 1, day 2 with a little bit more of a devotion here, followed by application questions, prayers, and reflections. So this is really lovely. I am excited to do this. I am unsure if I will use this for our family Advent, which for many, many years now, I think maybe since 2015 or 2016, we started doing Advent candles. It's not something that we practiced in my home growing up or my husband's home, but it is something that I started doing once after I had Lucy and learned more about it. And I really, really like the practice of coming together in the evenings and lighting a candle and singing a song and reading the passage for that day for our Advent study. It's been a really nice addition to our holiday season, and I'm always excited to see new resources, especially as my kids get older, because for a very long time we primarily used the Jesus Storybook Bible as our Advent study for each day because all of my kids were really little and that just seemed to work the best. But as they've gotten older, it's really nice to have a little bit more information. So each day you have some scripture and some journaling space and some questions and space for prayer, a little devotional. I think that this is really lovely, and it helps us to center ourselves on the reason that we have Christmas and the Advent season to begin with. So again, this is a whole bundle. I believe that you'll be able to purchase these things separately if you would like, but the bundle is obviously at a discount, and they do have another bundle, a family bundle, which is more geared towards younger kids. So I definitely would check that one out. I will leave that linked as well for you. Again, it will be available on Monday. I think this is going to be a really nice addition to the Advent season, and it actually helps me because I can start crossing a couple of things off of my goals for September, because this is one of the things that I needed to focus on, figuring out what we would be doing for an Advent study for 2025. Now, the next thing that I was sent from them is this Liturgical Living bundle. And honestly, I saw this and I thought it was really fascinating, especially after my summer of rest and really trying to figure out exactly what I want our year to look like and just thinking about how to slow down. We are not huge in the liturgical year. I don't know, I know Advent and I know Easter, but there's like ordinary time, and I think that there's some other times. There's Christmas obviously after Advent, which is always funny to me. Everybody is ready to take their trees down right after Christmas, but Christmas Day is only the first day of Christmas. We go overboard and we leave our tree up way too long, but that's okay. So let me get the stuff out of the packaging first. So I thought it was really fascinating and kind of a God thing that I have been talking so much about slowing down and trying to take some of the busyness out of life and figuring out how to return to some of those simple living things that I used to do when my kids were younger. I really protected our time a lot when the kids were younger, and I still do that to a certain extent, but as everybody's gotten older, some of my old habits and rhythms have kind of fallen away, and I may practice them somewhat, but it's hard to get my entire family on board when everybody, is much older. And so when I had my season of rest this past summer and I took a huge time off of social media and away from work, and we weren't homeschooling, and I was really leaning into just family and enjoying the summer, which is not something that I necessarily always do. I tend to work a lot when my kids are on homeschool break. So one of the things that I realized at the end of that season was that I wanted to continue that slowness, that savoring of life that the busyness of our modern day American society doesn't really allow all that much. So I thought that this was really interesting that they have this Liturgical Living bundle, and it is a new bundle. It is available now. It's not something that you have to wait to get like the Advent bundle. I'm just interested to see what it's like. I think it'll be fun to kind of go through all of this. So first we have Liturgical Living display cards, and they are for the different seasons, which I'm assuming that's what it is. They have a welcome to the church year, and this must be how the church year is designated, maybe, this circle with the different colored sections here. So we have Advent, and then on the back of the Advent card, it tells you the information. It tells you the colors and the themes. That's really interesting. Christmas, and some scripture, Epiphany, Lent, Easter, Pentecost, Ordinary Time, and that is the end. Okay. And then this is the back card. So these are really lovely, and I like that they have a little bit of information. I'm just really excited to learn more about it. And like I said, it's just not something that is taught in my church. So I find it incredibly fascinating, and I enjoy deep diving on all of this stuff. Then you have a year of liturgical living, and this is a journal. Okay. It says this journal belongs to, there's a table of contents. What is the church calendar? Holy days and feast days by season, a 12-month calendar, and then it has each individual section. So instead of months, it's saying Advent, Christmas, Epiphany, Lent, Easter, Pentecost, and Ordinary Time based on the colors. So this is really cool. It does have the different sections of the year, and it is undated. Okay, it is a calendar, so you have all 12 months up front. It's the Sunday start calendar, which is lovely. And a little bit of dot grid note space and some line note space on the bottom here. So if you are filling in specific feast days or other events around the different times of the liturgical year, you can use this. And then you have a notes page, and then you move into Advent. As we walk through Advent, we can reflect on the promises of God, and then an introduction to Advent, observing Advent, planning it out, reflection, scripture for reflection, and then, oh, interesting. Okay, so this is the first week of Advent, I would imagine, and it says week of, and so you can put the date, and then it has everything in here for Advent. So this is essentially a planner, but it is for the liturgical year. That is really interesting. That's not something that I've seen before, and I, as you know, love planners. So it has this O-ring coil, I guess. It's kind of, I feel like it's a little bit, I think it's plastic, and it seems almost like a brass color. It's very pretty. The pages turn nicely. Then you're moving into Christmas, and again, it has week of. It says priorities for this season, priorities for this week. How will the themes of this season impact this week? Upcoming feasts or holy days, scripture to meditate on, and prayer and reflection. This is really nice as a weekly planner, specifically for your faith. I think that that is really fascinating. So then you're moving into Epiphany, and it has the introduction, celebrating, reflection, and then your weeks. And depending on the time of year, I guess, is how many weeks it will have following the tab, which is interesting. Then you move to Lent, which I think this would be really lovely to have when you're going through the Lent season. And then you move into Easter. I don't think I realized there were so many weeks celebrating some of these holidays. I did know because my sister-in-law and my brother attend an Anglican church, and they follow the liturgical calendar. And so she always knows all of the different days and where we are. So it's always fascinating to me to hear her talk about those things and understand them. And I just haven't really. So Pentecost is not very long. You only have 1 week for Pentecost, and then you're moving into Ordinary Time. It says Ordinary Time is the perfect time to walk in faithfulness to Christ. And then there's an introduction to Ordinary Time, observing Ordinary Time, plan out your Ordinary Time, and then some scripture for reflection. And then again, you have all kinds of weeks. I think that Ordinary Time is the largest of the year, so you have a lot of blank weeks here to work through things, but each week has the same layout. Week of priorities for this season, priorities for this week, how will the themes of this season impact this week, upcoming feasts or holy days, scripture and prayer and reflection. So this is lovely. I'm excited about this. Once you get to the end, there's a little bit of a bibliography, and then you have your back cover here. It's a hard cover. It's smooth with the gold foiling print on it. It feels like a hard cardboard with some sort of coating over it so that if you spilled something, you'd be able to easily wipe it off. And then you have the church calendar, focusing on Christ through liturgical living. And I'm not sure what this is, if it just goes into more depth about the church calendar. So I just wanted to see if this was the same information as here, and it's not. So this would be good to partner together. So it looks like you're probably getting a little bit more information in this book. You will have the opportunity to live out the gospel story throughout your year and to invite others into its truth. It does tell you some important terms. It talks about holy days and feast days by season. If I said holidays before and it said holy days, just know that I misspoke. So it has all of that information, which was also in the year of liturgical living, I believe. And then you move into Advent, and it has a lot of information about Advent, scripture for reflection, how can we observe Advent, different ideas for Advent study, memory verses, hymns, all of that kind of stuff. The holy days and feasts in the Advent season, and then it moves into Christmas. And that's how each section is going to be. I'm really interested in reading through this. I think this is going to be fascinating to just go through. I love to research and learn things about scripture, about the Bible, about pretty much anything. I'm really big on research and learning. So I'm excited to go through this. This one, take Christmas decorations down on January 6th. It's always something that I have said that we would do. Some years we actually have taken our Christmas decorations down on January 6th. However, some years we just leave our tree up. We actually have fake trees. We don't buy a real tree, so they can stay up a long time. And honestly, in the dark days of winter in Maine, still having the twinkle lights on the tree is really lovely. I'm not going to lie. I like to be able to turn that on first thing in the morning. So it goes through each section of the liturgical year and has all kinds of helpful information in here, which is just, I don't know what else to say. I'm just really interested to read through this. I can't wait to read through this, especially the ordinary time, because that does make up the majority of the year. And I think it'll be interesting to kind of see what is talked about for ordinary time. And I think that this is going to be really a nice addition to my desire to slow down next year. Next year, I mean, technically my word this year for my goals, to guide my goals, was create. However, as the year went on, I really was leaning into slow. I wanted things to just slow down. It seemed so busy. There were so many things happening and things that were unexpected that came up, and just so much stuff that by the time the summer came, I was close to burnout mode. And I think that a lot of people are feeling that right now. At least that is my assumption based on conversations that I have, and obviously that's anecdotal, but I thought that this was incredibly timely. And so I'm really excited to start looking through this and to see how this may be able to play a big part in my goals for 2026. And also I'm really excited about this Advent study, and I can't wait to go through it to see if it's something that I'm going to do either on my own, or if I want to do this study with my kids and my husband. We'll see. Lucy is still just 10, so I do have to be aware of that. But I wanted to share this stuff with you guys. I love this mug and the ornament. It's so pretty. So let me know what you think. If you are interested in any of these resources, I will have everything linked for you in the description box. Again, the Advent studies will be available on Monday, September 22nd. And that is all of their Advent collection. And like I said earlier, a lot of that stuff does sell out pretty quickly. So if there's something that you really want, you may want to try and grab it as soon as you can. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this little peek into some of the resources that I've received lately from the Daily Grace Co. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, or you can email me. My contact form is always in the description box. If you're looking for more help and encouragement around home and homeschooling and goals, I would love for you to come check out my membership community. That link is also always in the description box. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.